Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to week 2 of our English 101 class. We've got lots of fun stuff this week as we jump into a more content-heavy approach. The first week was kind of just orienting ourselves to the class, figuring out how Canvas is set up, doing our diagnostic essay. But this week we really get to jump into the content of Project 1. So this quarter is going to be divided into 3 major projects, and each of those projects is going to be connected thematically. Like we talked about in the welcome video, having those thematic links between projects helps us remember material and transfer it from one context to the next. A lot of educational psychological research says that this is the case. And so that's one of the reasons we've decided to theme this class around true crime and concepts of justice, because hopefully it'll help you not only retain the skills from Project 1 to 2 to 3, but also once you move out of this class into 102 or 235 or whatever class comes next for you. Hopefully it will help you retain and then be able to replicate those skills in another context. Sorry, you can hear small children in the background. Those are mine. I have very good TAs. So as we look at this week, we have a PowerPoint we're watching today called Murder, Not Muck Duck. If you have ever watched the TV show The Office, and you are familiar with the character of Dwight, you might get the reference. He's talking about which letters in the alphabet are the most menacing, and he decides that the letter R is a scary letter. And that's why he says murder is that word instead of something else, like muck duck. So, for my Office fans, that's the title of our PowerPoint. So you're going to be watching that PowerPoint. It's located in the Modules tab. I'll show you where in just a minute. And then you're going to be answering some questions about Murder on the Orient Express, because over the weekend you were meant to have read chapters 1 through 5. So this is just your chance to demonstrate your understanding of that material. It gives me a chance to look and see if there are any gaps, if we need any additional explanation. These question answers kind of let me see where those gaps might exist so that I can help you out more. On Tuesday, you're going to be viewing a PowerPoint called The Lindbergh Tragedy. Murder on the Orient Express was actually inspired by a real-life, unsolved kidnapping and murder case. And so this PowerPoint on Tuesday will give you a lot of context about that real-life case. And as you learn about the real-life case, you can probably understand how a murder mystery writer like Agatha Christie would be reading about this case in the newspaper and thinking, well, there's no resolution in real life. We don't know who kidnapped this child and who ultimately murdered the child. So she wants to create a fictional outcome where some justice happens because that didn't happen in real life. So this case is what inspired Agatha Christie to write Murder on the Orient Express. And hopefully you can see how it all connects pretty interestingly once we get through the book. On Wednesday, you're going to be viewing the PowerPoint Close Reading Strategies. This is a 2-part video. That sounds daunting, but it's actually not. The first video is like 14 minutes long, and the second video is like 5 minutes long. So it's not terrible. It is one of the longer lectures you'll get from me, but it is not excessively long. So plan for about 20 minutes worth of viewing on Wednesday. And then you are going to continue reading Murder on the Orient Express and look at the PowerPoint Murder Mystery Tropes. So tropes are a fancy literary term for something that tends to happen across stories. So a trope is very similar to an archetype in literature. An archetype is a character who you see appear in a bunch of stories. So the hero, that's an archetype. The villain, that's an archetype. They're going to pop up in almost every story in some form or another. A trope is something that will pop up in a lot of stories, but instead of being a character, it's an event or something that's designed to move the plot forward. So you'll take a look at those murder mystery tropes. Agatha Christie was such an incredible writer that most of the tropes we associate with the murder mystery genre either originated with her or the very brilliant gentleman who wrote Sherlock Holmes, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So 2 very amazing murder mystery writers responsible for almost all the tropes we see in current murder mystery fiction. And then we're going to be doing a discussion board on Friday, looking at the concepts of justice and revenge, because those are 2 concepts that are really important in the Murder on the Orient Express book. honestly, it's the whole point of the book, is what is the difference between justice and revenge? Is there a significant difference? Is it important that a difference exists? We want to look at those ideas, and so our discussion board on Friday will help us get there. So lots of good stuff this week. This is a PowerPoint heavy week. I promise not every week will be like this. In fact, most weeks are not like this. Most weeks you will have 1 or 2 PowerPoints. But because we have so much great content we're working with in our novel, we have a more PowerPoint heavy week this week. So make sure to stay up on those. So if you go to our class, I'll show you where all these are located. If you go into the modules tab here, and you scroll down, we are all done with the diagnostic essay, so you can collapse that bad boy. And if you go into project 1, everything you need is going to be here in this folder. So the Murder Not Muck Duck you're watching today. Here is the PowerPoint if you want to be able to read through the slides. Here is the recorded lecture where I will tell you all kinds of interesting information. You're welcome. I'm sure you're excited. And then the Drunk History episode about Agatha Christie. If you're interested in a little bit of her biography, there's a clip for you here. Drunk History is a show on a comedy network in which they find an expert in a historical event. So they found an expert on Agatha Christie, and then they got this person very drunk, and then they made this person tell them everything they know about Agatha Christie. And then they hired actors to act out the story. So it is very, very funny. And I hope you enjoy it. It is all fact-checked, of course, because sometimes inebriated people don't remember all the facts. So these are fact-checked to make sure everything is accurate. Here is the literary analysis and close reading. There's the PowerPoint if you want to read through it at your own pace. And here are the lecture videos. This one's about 14 minutes. This one's about 5 minutes. Here's murder mystery tropes. We'll be talking about symbolism next week, and where in the world is Carmen Sandiego next week. That's a little bit of historical context. And here's your Lindbergh tragedy stuff. If you need some supporting materials, there is some French vocabulary in this book, and so here's a vocabulary and language guide if you want some help figuring out what those French words mean or some of the more outdated terms, because this was written a little while ago. If you're visual like me, here is a diagram of the train car so you can see where everyone was sleeping and kind of figure out who might have had access to Ratchet's train car. And then we'll be doing some readings next week, some chapters from a really great book called How to Read Literature Like a Professor. Next week we'll be going through these. So lots of good stuff. If you're one of those folks who really likes to look ahead, we have all of the essay materials here for you as well if you want to peek ahead, but please don't feel like you need to. That's coming down the road. Just want to show you all of the resources that are available for you there. So this is how the class is set up. Everything will tell you what is coming due, what you need to do each day. All that will be in the calendar, and then all of the supporting materials will be in these modules folders for you. So lots of good stuff. I hope you enjoy your reading of Murder on the Orient Express this week, and that you enjoy the PowerPoints and recorded lectures. As always, reach out if you have any questions. I'm here to help. Have a great week, guys.